I always thought I couldn't become a pilot. I was a kid on the west side of Chicago from an Italian family. My mother and father came from Italy. You know, I idolized the pilots, but I never thought that I would be one. And then one day when I was 19 years old, May 1959, a friend of mine, he called me up and said, hey, there's a brand new drive-in on the north side of Chicago. Let's go up there and pick up some girls. That's exactly what we were going up there for. Sitting on the back bumper of the car, smoking a cigarette, and I look up and there is a flight of F-86 airplanes that were flying out of O'Hare. They were in this turn, and it was just so beautiful as it went over me and it disappeared. And I remember saying to myself, and I might have said it to my friend Pete, I gotta do that. That would really be something cool to do. And a couple of days later, you know, on a lark, on my lunch break, I called up the Air Force recruiter. And he came by and picked me up and took me out to lunch. And then later on, he had me come to his office and he gave me a test. And I passed it so narrowly, he said, I don't think you're going to make it in pilot training. Because I didn't know anything about the Air Force. I didn't know what the airplanes looked like. I knew what a fighter was, I knew what a bomber was, and that was about it. So then a couple of weeks later, he sent me to downtown Chicago for physical and a test. And I passed that. And then they sent me down to Chanute Air Force Base, and that was a 2-day deal. And this sergeant walks in with a clipboard, and he says, okay, I've got 6 navigators and 2 pilots. And my heart sunk. Oh no. And he said, the pilots are Frank Tullo and Russell Flair. And I went to O'Hare and got on an airplane for the first time in my life. I had never even been in an airplane. I barely made it through pre-flight training. All the regimentation of your room, your socks had to be in a certain place. You had to bounce a quarter off the bed. Things like that were very tough for me, and I squeaked through. Everything is done on class standing. Whatever your class standing was, 1 through 30 or 35, I think it was 34. They matched that with 34 assignments. And there were 5 fighters. I was number 5 in the class, and I got a fighter, which was, that was a dream come true. And one day later, I got married. So now I'm married, and I've got a fighter assignment. And then when I went to fighter training in the F-100, that was truly a dream come true. If I were to pick the best 6 months of my life, I would pick that. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona in February, and it's heaven. All of the citrus trees are blooming, and it smells like a perfume factory. I got my brand new beautiful wife, and I'm flying F-100 fighters, and it was just a dream come true, it really was. And then I went to Okinawa. Now I was, again, this is class standing, and the top guy got his choice of the assignments. I was about halfway through the class, about the middle of the class somewhere. So I went to Okinawa, and when I got there, I was a 2nd lieutenant, which is something they hadn't seen in a long, long time. And then I meet my squadron commander, and he says, you've got to be the luckiest 2nd lieutenant in the Air Force, because this wing is transitioning to the 105 in a couple of months. The F-105 was astounding in speed. Even the F model that I flew with the instructor in the back, I was behind the airplane. It was going so much faster than I was thinking. The first time I took off in an F-105 in February, very dense, cold air, and I took that thing off and rotated to about 30 degrees, and it was accelerating. It was astounding. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was one of those airplanes that you just have a love affair with immediately. I remember getting in the airplane and putting on my seatbelt and feeling like I was strapping the airplane on. It was part of me. That's the kind of airplane it was. There was something about the F-105 that I felt connected to it. It was part of me. And the longer I flew it, the more I felt that way. And when we got in combat, I had a world of confidence in it. I knew that it was a great bomber. It was a better bomber than the F-100 and a better gun platform. I ended up with a full career at Continental for 33 years. When I retired, I've been faculty in human factors and aviation at USC for 15 years. And just this year, February, I said, I'm through. I'm done. No more. I'm not getting up early anymore the rest of my life.